The story begins far away from Earth, in deep space, where a giant station called Aurelian Spire floats near a red and dangerous star, glowing like fire trapped in glass, and this station belongs to the Draconis Empire, an ancient and powerful alien race that looks like living dragons, creatures of scale and energy who rule many star systems through fear and strength. And humans are not equal partners there, but only workers allowed to live because they are useful. And among these humans is Jonah Hale, a quiet man who works as a cleaner, pushing his small cart through wide glowing halls made of crystal and metal, always keeping his eyes low because humans know that dragons do not like to be stared at. And Jonah's life is simple and careful because one wrong move could mean death. Yet even in this place of power and danger, he carries something fragile inside him. Memories of Earth, of songs, of kindness, of a world where people talk to each other even when afraid. And while doing his usual work one day, Jonah hears a strange sound, very soft and broken, like someone trying to cry without knowing how. And this sound stops him in his tracks because it does not sound like any machine or alarm, but something alive and hurting. And following the sound, he reaches a small, quiet chamber hidden from the busy halls. And there he sees something that shocks him deeply. A dragon child sitting alone on the floor, much smaller than the mighty dragons Jonah has seen, with dull scales and folded wings, looking weak and afraid. And the child opens his mouth as if trying to speak, but no sound comes out. And Jonah understands that the child is mute, unable to speak in a society where strength and voice mean everything. And Jonah knows that such weakness is dangerous among dragons, because the Draconis Empire does not forgive flaws. And for a moment, Jonah thinks about leaving, because staying could mean death. But when the child looks at him with wide, fearful eyes, Jonah feels something stronger than fear rise inside him, and he slowly sits down on the floor, making himself small and non-threatening, and speaks in a soft voice, telling the child that he will not hurt him, even though Jonah knows the dragon may not understand his words. But kindness does not always need understanding. And Jonah begins to talk gently, telling simple stories about Earth, about rain falling on metal roofs, about children laughing, about humans singing when they are scared because sound helps them feel less alone. And Jonah even hums a quiet song his mother used to sing to him long ago when life felt heavy. And the sound fills the small chamber with warmth, and slowly the dragon child reacts, his chest shaking as if something locked inside him is trying to break free. And after a long, painful moment, the child makes a sound, rough and small but real, and it becomes a word, calling out Ma, and at that moment the air in the station trembles because something impossible has happened. A mute dragon has spoken, and Jonah does not know that high above them, hidden in shadow and energy, the dragon mother herself, one of the most powerful beings in the galaxy and ruler of the Draconis Empire, is watching through unseen sensors, having noticed the strange change in her son, and her ancient heart, hardened by centuries of war and rule, feels something crack for the first time. While Jonah remains unaware of her gaze and simply smiles gently at the child, not knowing that his simple act has already begun to change the fate of many worlds. And while this quiet miracle happens in a forgotten chamber, the larger universe moves toward disaster, because the Draconis Empire's high command has decided that humanity is no longer useful, that Earth has grown too bold and too noisy, and orders are sent through space fleets to prepare for war. And far from Jonah's quiet moment, massive dragon warships begin to move, their engines lighting the dark like stars being born. And the stage is set for a conflict that humanity is not ready for. Yet the story makes clear that the true power does not begin with weapons or fleets, but with one human cleaner choosing kindness over fear, showing that even in a galaxy ruled by monsters and fire, a simple human voice can still matter. And this moment becomes the seed of everything that will follow. Because a child has found his voice, a mother has begun to remember what love feels like. And humanity has unknowingly taken its first step into a war that will decide whether it deserves a place among the stars. Part 2 picks up with the tension rising after the human cleaner. A man named Juran miraculously caused the little mute dragon Zephyr to speak for the first time. Word of this miracle spreads quickly through the alien city, reaching the ears of Zephyr's mother, an enormous and ancient dragon named Seraphis, whose scales shimmered like molten metal and whose presence alone could command armies. As Seraphis descends upon the human settlement, the citizens panic, fearing the wrath of a creature so powerful, and Juran realizes he has no choice but to protect the young dragon while proving to the mother that his intentions are pure. Humanity's technological ingenuity begins to shine here. Juran and a small squad of humans quickly adapt their maintenance tools into defensive weapons, turning cleaning drones into high-speed scouts and plasma wrenches into precision rifles. The alien city, suspended above a cratered moon, is a maze of sharp spires and floating platforms, making every movement dangerous. Ships hover in the low gravity, and the first signs of a full-scale conflict start when patrol drones pick up Seraphis's massive shadow passing over the city. As humans scramble to evacuate civilians, Juran communicates with Zephyr using a mix of gestures and newly learned words, guiding him through hidden pathways to avoid detection. Meanwhile, Seraphis's eyes, bright and intelligent, sweep across the settlement, sensing the unique bond forming between Juran and her offspring. It is in this tense moment that the story expands beyond just a struggle of survival into a test of understanding between species. The aliens, previously wary and disdainful of humans, begin to notice Juran's fearlessness and resourcefulness, traits they rarely see in other beings, and they start offering subtle assistance, allowing humans to move faster, repair damaged systems, and mount strategic defenses. Juran, fueled by adrenaline and the weight of responsibility, pilots a maintenance shuttle through narrow canyons of the floating city, dodging energy pulses from automated defense systems triggered by Seraphis's proximity. At the same time, ground teams of humans set traps and create diversions, using minimal resources but maximum creativity, turning what appears to be a hopeless situation into a series of calculated advantages. Emotional stakes rise as Zephyr, still frightened but now able to speak, tries to communicate with his mother, struggling to explain the trust he has in Juran, while Juran himself learns how to read alien body language, understanding the nuances of dragon communication that go beyond sound. Seraphis, torn between her protective instincts and the curiosity sparked by her son's unprecedented behavior, begins to test the humans, sending controlled bursts of flame and powerful gusts of wind to gauge their reactions. Humans respond with coordination, precision, and, most importantly, clever thinking, showing that even though they are physically weaker, their minds and teamwork can rival the sheer force of the dragons. The tension is interspersed with thrilling space action. Human ships weave through the floating city's defenses, dodging laser arrays and pursuing Seraphis's scouting drones, while Juran leads daring maneuvers that turn routine maintenance corridors into high-speed chase routes. During one intense moment, Juran and Zephyr must escape a collapsing platform, relying on a combination of alien technology and human intuition to survive. Here, the story emphasizes the emotional connection between species, highlighting that trust, empathy, and understanding can create bonds stronger than fear or instinct. The humans and Zephyr manage to communicate through improvisation, humans using holographic maps, gestures, and basic spoken words, while Zephyr uses a mix of vocalizations and subtle telepathy, revealing that dragons possess latent mental abilities that humans had never understood. This creates an almost magical moment of cooperation, demonstrating humanity's adaptability in a universe dominated by stronger and more physically intimidating species. The rising action peaks as Sarathis finally confronts Juran directly, testing his courage with a controlled but overwhelming display of power, forcing Juran to show that he values life and connection above all else. The confrontation is not just physical but mental. Juran projects sincerity, compassion, and intelligence, proving that humans can rise beyond their perceived limitations. As this intense interaction unfolds, human allies coordinate an ambitious plan to secure the city and prevent Sarathis from panicking and causing unintentional destruction. They use advanced AI drones to create illusions, redirect energy flows, and manipulate gravity fields, turning every available resource into a tactical advantage. Despite the high stakes, moments of humor and humanity shine through. Juran's improvised solutions, his quick thinking, and even small acts of kindness toward Zephyr and other creatures highlight the HFY theme, showing that human ingenuity, empathy, and resilience can overcome overwhelming odds. By the end of Part 2, the story has set the stage for a climactic showdown. Sarathis is no longer just a looming threat, but a potential ally whose respect must be earned. The humans have proven they are not to be underestimated, and Juran has established a fragile but powerful bond with Zephyr that could determine the fate of the city. The stakes are clear: survival, trust, and the chance to unite species through courage and understanding. Suspense is maintained throughout, with multiple near misses, heart-pounding escapes, and breathtaking displays of both human and alien abilities. Part 2's narrative balances intense action with emotional depth, showing that the HFY spirit thrives not just in physical triumph, but in the courage to face fear, forge connections, and outthink even the most formidable opponents. The humans are battered but unbroken. Sarathis is cautiously intrigued, and Zephyr's newfound voice is a symbol of hope, a bridge between species that could tip the balance in the epic confrontation to come. Every scene in Part 2 reinforces the central message. Even when humanity is small, alone, and underestimated, their brains, hearts, and determination make them capable of extraordinary feats in a universe filled with awe-inspiring, dangerous, and ancient beings. The story also sets up several key elements for the final act: the dragon's mysterious abilities, humanity's ability to improvise under pressure, and the emotional stakes that hinge on trust and communication, leaving readers breathless and eager to see how this delicate balance between species will resolve in a spectacular showdown. Part 3 begins with the tension reaching its breaking point as Sarathis, the massive dragon mother, hovers above the human settlement, her eyes glowing like molten gold, reflecting both curiosity and the raw power she could unleash at any moment, while Juran, the human cleaner, stands between her and her young Zephyr, knowing that a single mistake could ignite disaster. The floating city trembles under the weight of anticipation, and human defenders scramble to stabilize platforms, shield civilians, and ready the ships for what seems like an impossible confrontation. Sarathis, still cautious but intrigued by Juran's courage and the bond he has forged with Zephyr, begins a slow descent, testing the humans with small, controlled pulses of energy that ripple through the city's gravity fields, knocking drones off course and forcing humans to adapt instantly. Juran, relying on quick thinking and his intimate knowledge of the city's maintenance systems, leads teams through precarious corridors, improvising bridges from spare panels and using energy conduits as shields, while Zephyr, now able to communicate fluently, relays critical information about his mother's movements, her intentions, and her emotions, which humans could never have predicted. In this moment, the story emphasizes humanity's intelligence and adaptability. Every setback is transformed into an opportunity, every obstacle met with creativity, courage, and teamwork, showing that even a species perceived as weak can turn the tide with brains and heart. As Serapis descends fully into the central plaza, humans launch a coordinated defense, not with brute force, but by using the environment. Floating platforms are manipulated to create barriers, gravity fields are adjusted to slow her movements, and holographic decoys distract her sensors, while Jaren, carrying Zephyr, races toward a central energy node that powers the city's defensive systems. The tension skyrockets as alien patrols arrive, small but deadly, seeking to protect the city or exploit the chaos, forcing humans into deadly skirmishes that test their resolve and ingenuity. Each encounter shows the HFY theme: humans are smaller and weaker, but their creativity, adaptability, and willingness to sacrifice for others give them an edge against species who rely on instinct and overwhelming physical power. As the first major clash erupts, Serapis unleashes a controlled wave of flame, melting sections of floating platforms, yet humans respond with swift improvisation, rerouting energy to shields and using grappling devices to swing across collapsing gaps, all while Jaren keeps Zephyr calm, explaining that courage comes from acting even when terrified. Zephyr, inspired by Jaren, helps coordinate defensive maneuvers, signaling when to move platforms or when to guide humans to safe zones, demonstrating that the humans and dragons can work together when trust and understanding exist. The climax approaches when a rogue alien squad attempts to seize control of the city's main energy core, believing that defeating humans would earn Serapis' favor. Jaren, realizing the immense danger, pilots a maintenance shuttle straight into the fray, dodging laser fire, energy blasts, and falling debris, his every movement precise and calculated, while Zephyr emits a powerful sonic pulse, disorienting the attackers long enough for human teams to neutralize them. Serapis, witnessing Jaren's bravery, cleverness, and determination to protect not only Zephyr, but the city itself, begins to reconsider her judgment of humanity, seeing that strength is not always measured in raw power, but in resilience, courage, and the ability to think beyond instinct. In a breathtaking moment of unity, Jaren and Zephyr climb to the highest platform, where Serapis lands fully, her enormous form dwarfing everything around them, yet instead of attacking, she lowers her head and examines Jaren, who does not flinch, speaking calmly and honestly about the human's intentions, their desire to live and to protect, and the bond he has formed with her son. The story reaches its emotional and dramatic peak here, as Serapis tests him with a final, controlled display of power, a shockwave that knocks debris across the plaza, yet Jaren stands firm, guiding Zephyr to remain calm, proving that humans can endure not just physically but emotionally under overwhelming pressure. Seeing the courage, intelligence, and selflessness of humans, Serapis finally allows a moment of communication, understanding the depth of the connection between Jaren and Zephyr, and acknowledging that humans are more than mere cleaners, technicians, or weak creatures. They are beings capable of extraordinary feats when guided by empathy, creativity, and determination. The aftermath of this confrontation is equally gripping. Humans work alongside dragons to repair the city, combining technology with ancient draconic abilities, showing that cooperation can create solutions neither species could achieve alone. The rogue aliens are captured or driven off, and Zephyr's voice, once mute, becomes a symbol of hope and unity, bridging two worlds and highlighting that communication and trust can overcome fear and misunderstanding. The story closes with a poignant scene of Jaren standing beside Zephyr and Serapis, the city repaired but scarred, and humans and dragons sharing a quiet moment of recognition and respect, knowing that the universe is vast and dangerous, but also full of possibility, when courage, intelligence, and heart lead the way. Humanity has survived against overwhelming odds, not by sheer strength, but by ingenuity, adaptability, and the willingness to act selflessly, proving that even a simple human cleaner can rise to become a hero, capable of changing the course of events in a galaxy of powerful beings. The ending emphasizes the HFY spirit. No matter how small or underestimated, humans have resilience, creativity, and the ability to form bonds that can shape destinies, leaving a lasting impression of awe, triumph, and the promise of future adventures. Between species that now respect and understand one another, every action, every decision, and every moment of bravery contributes to the final victory, showing that humanity's greatest weapon is not just technology or strength, but the heart and mind that can rise above any challenge. The universe remains vast and full of unknown threats, yet Jaren's courage and humanity's resilience stand as a beacon, a reminder that even in the face of colossal power, humans can endure, inspire, and prevail, leaving a legacy that will echo in the stories of dragons and humans alike for generations to come.